Hey everybody, and we got some more toys here, more repairs. Anyway, I picked up two of these Gravely walk behind classic things that I don't know if they make these anymore, but these things were just so good. They had all kinds of attachments that go on these brush cutters, rototillers, plows, brush, everything goes on the front of these things. And you run them, all the controls are up there, forward, reverse, high, low, PTO. And some even have a little wheeled chair you'd sit in and ride behind it. But anyway, I wanted to show you a common problem on a lot of air-cooled motors. Over the years I find this. Now, these are air-cooled and all the air obviously comes in through here, you know, through a screen and goes through the hot exhaust valve area up, and it gets so hot up on top of these heads. And as you can see, well, this one had an oil leak. I'm trying to clean it, but even without the oil leak, so many of these, like the other one on the ground I'll show you in a second, are clogged solid. No air is going through these hottest parts of the engine. So what happens? You're working this thing hard, and all of a sudden valve burns, head gaskets pop. And really every year, if you have any of these type of engines that's used in the dusty, because look, right down here is the dirt, right? It's just sucking debris and stuff and throwing it through there. You should really pull these covers off every season. You got mice nests, how would you say it, mouse nests? All kinds of stuff that get in there and clog it. So this other engine, the same thing happened. And it totally clogged, but there's no oil leak. And that one blew a rod, Kohler motor, which probably the oil was never done. But I have a few of these Gravely's I picked up. I have one mid-tractor out there. I'll show you in another video. This thing's so well made it'll outlive me. They started making these in the 20s up to like I think the late 80s, and then they got bought out, and now they're all probably Chinese plastic or whatever. These things are made so well. I mean, the transmission's a solid cast iron with real bronze and steel planetary gears, and I mean the mower is, this thing can cut, I mean, small, probably up to an inch or two tree thick brush. And it goes, the quick attach goes on and off. They have all kinds of giant mower decks. This one's a smaller one for cutting heavy stuff. That's why I got it. They go into tight spots and cut heavy stuff. And it's just, I think I took a 12-horse Kohler, simple, electric start, battery fuel tank. You know, this thing goes up and down. Battery goes up in there. It's so simple. If you look in China, they make these. They have a little Chinese diesel on these things. And they power carts and they power farm plows. There's a plow you could pull behind this. I mean, for a small farm or a big garden, this is the thing to have. I mean, there's nothing made that you can buy in Home Depot and Lowe's. There's more metal in that deck than there is probably in almost two modern ones you'd buy at, you know, these homeowner ones are just made of paper. And anybody that works on stuff knows what I'm talking about. But anyway, this is a, you know, like golf courses, graveyard schools would buy these things, because if a snowplow too, they have a thing called a, I think it's called a dog catcher, snow blower, or snow cannon. There's a snow blower that goes on these, and I'm from up north. It throws the snow like 10 foot. I'm talking solid. It is, and it'll take, you know, very strong. It'll cut up ice and everything. I mean, if you want a really good snow blower, anyone up in Maine or Vermont knows this snow cannon on a Gravely is like, that's the thing to have. And you could put a chair on the back of this with a seat that goes in the back. Don't mind my junkyard here, because I collected a bunch of crap down here in Virginia. This is nothing. There's people who got acres of stuff like this. That's a boiler a guy gave me. It can do 2 houses from a hotel. That's a wood boiler. I think it holds like 400 or 500 gallons of oil. It's got concrete around it with copper coil, so I'm going to hook that up to my little cabin. And my full-size backhoe with forks, barely, I think it's got to weigh 3,000 to 4,000 pounds. I mean, my rear end was coming off the ground and carrying this back. And I'm going to redo it. It's got one small leak I got to weld in the coil firebox. But it has water pumps on it, and that's going to be a project maybe for like next year. But the electric here is so cheap. Even with all the electric heaters on, it's like $200. So it's not even worth messing. In Long Island, the electric would have been $1,000 a month. You know, here it's cheap, so, you know, all that wood and effort, I don't know if it's worth it. Anyway, it's like kind of a nice day in January. It's probably like 40. Last year it was like 5 out here, and I was out here, but now it's not too bad. So, anyway, I figured I'd show you some things. The carburetors are getting done. Let me show you. Let's take a look here. Go in. I got one of these newfangled Chinese oh, must have shut down. All right, that's in lacquer thinner now, the jets. I just don't put the float needles in with the Viton seat because it might mess up the, you know, the rubber on the seat. But I got like endless things going on here. There's a, I think it's a 15 horse Mercury outboard. My friend's a commercial fisherman, so I fixed this thing. I got one more part I'm waiting for. I got a bunch of outboards. I used to do outboards years ago in the 80s when I was a kid. I worked in marinas and marine engines and boats. Anyway, I haven't messed too much with outboards anymore, but this one's still not bad. It doesn't have computer fuel injection on it like all the new stuff does. This one's still a carburetor. I did the carb, water pump, a few little pieces. These are pretty good. And I got an assortment of chainsaws I'm rebuilding. These are all done. That one runs perfect. I got this one out of the garbage. I just got a piston ring and a piston. It runs beautiful, a Dolmar. Then I got another one up there that needs a piston and ring, a cut-off saw. And here's another funny thing. I don't know if you can see back there, but that's a brake. These are Snap-on brake lathes for the 1960s or 70s. Really well made. They do brake drums, rotors. That's a F450 disc from a Super Duty dump truck. It fits on there. That'll do drums. That does discs, and it also does flywheels. So I got both of these machines like $500. Got them painted and cleaned, and they run great. And you know what's funny? Absolutely no use for them anymore. It's ridiculous. When I was a kid, brake drums and rotors cost a lot of money, man. And everyone had to cut them because you couldn't afford to buy new. Now, it's so cheap, no one bothers. So these things cost, I don't know how much these things, you go to buy a new brake lathe, it's like $15,000-$20,000 from Amco or a Bosch, even more. In fact, they even have one that cuts them on the car. But this one does big drums, big discs, and flywheels. So I'd probably even want to sell these, because I don't do cars. I don't really mess with cars too much, just minimum. I do industrial farm equipment, cranes, backhoes. I build, weld, and make part. I don't get involved with car repair too much. So if anybody's interested in these, I'd let them go. You know, as a pair, pretty reasonable. Because I don't have much use for them, and I only use them maybe 3 or 4 times. And it's actually fun because they set. It's automatic feed, and it shuts itself off. And the other one, you could do the drum and disc at the same time and do the whole car in one shot. And they have oil bath transmissions. These things are really well made. The John Bean, which is Snap-on. So they're pretty cool. It's back made in the day when America made this stuff. Like this South Bend lathe. This is a little South Bend. I used to be a machinist years ago. And in the 80s. It's so funny. I was at a party in Manhattan. There's a bunch of millennial kids, you know, they're cool kids. I'm like the old guy there. And, like, what did you do? Oh, I used to be a machinist. And one of the kids looks at me and goes, oh, you fix copying machines and typewriter and you know, computers? I said, no. We used to make metal parts on lathes, milling machines. They didn't understand what I'm talking about. They thought it was like a 3D printer. I'm like, where do you think all these parts come from? They don't just pop into the air. Anyways, South Bend, Indiana, made some of the most beautiful, they made Studebaker cars, and they made some of the most beautiful machinery. Now all gone. My brother went through there last year. Abandoned factory, Rust Belt. Studebaker's collapsed. This factory is like a abandoned wasteland. All went to China 20-something years ago. And they stole and copied all the ideas and make us stuff and it's just, I don't know what to say anymore, man. Only Chinese takeout food is made there anymore. I mean, it's not even funny anymore. God forbid if there was a war. Well, I guess new wars wouldn't need tanks. God forbid we have one. Well, they use the whatever new thing is they have. I won't mention, but let's just pray we don't have that with this Iran thing going on again. Anyway, so this machine is so well made, it's so beautiful. And I had to go to college back when I was 17, 18 to take some math and learn how to program the new computer-controlled machines. This is the old hand one. And you can cut screw threads, you can make metal parts, face stuff, there's a multitude of things you can do. This is only like a small one. I used to run a big hydraulic one that wouldn't even fit in this building, and I ran small ones, which a thing called a hand screw, a turret lathe, and then some milling machines, like Bridgeport milling machine from Connecticut. You go to that part of Connecticut, it's a ghetto. I went to, where was it, Massachusetts, where they made all the original machines in the United States. It's all crumbled down. Amazon warehouse now. So, I don't know, man. You know, it's not even funny anymore. I won't go on about it. So, anyway, peace out. Look at my new hammer, huh? I found that. It looks real. It looks real, don't it? I think they're still made here, hopefully. Anyway, oh, another thing. Here's some good news. I always try to end up with nice things at the end. I went and Harbor Freight opened up here in Hillbillyville. And I go in there, and we're looking around, me and my neighbor, and I'm looking at products. More than half the products now are not made in China anymore. They're made in Taiwan, Korea, some made here. It appears that the owner of Harbor Freight had to switch gears because I was in there a few years ago. There was nothing in there made. Everything in there was made in communist China. So I think these tariffs and people are starting to get fed up. And I'm happy to buy wrenches and tools made in Taiwan or Korea or any place else that doesn't persecute and kill and restrict human rights like that evil, tyrannical communist China is doing now. And no one seems to be saying a word about it. Only a few. Anyway, I figured you guys enjoy this little midwinter tour. It's like 40 degrees. It's supposed to be 55 tomorrow. And I'm almost mid-January. So keep burning that coal and oil, and we won't have any winter. And Greta from Sweden was a hero. Don't listen to these idiots. There is pollution problems, and there is a problem with all the aircraft and billions of tons of pollution put into the air. Anybody that says that doesn't hurt anything is kind of ignorant and crazy. Anyway, have a good day. Peace out. Bye-bye.